Hello and welcome to part 9 of my rock creation series. Um, Before I continue, I want to show a few changes I made to the rock since last time. It's taking me about, well, 20 minutes maybe, doing a little bit more detailing. It doesn't probably look like much. But I thought it needed a little bit more details. So I just spent a little time doing that. And before I continue, I wanted to show another technique we can use, which I find useful. So you can basically use any alpha, which is kind of one of the blurry, more chaotic ones. Yeah, well, you can try yourself, see what you can come up with. But I decided to use one of these brushes that I bought. So for this one, what you want to do is go to spray instead, and let's take a look at some of the areas here, which we want to make them kind of look like they broke off. So for example, this piece here looks like something recently fell off. So what you can do is to use this to create this crumbled area where it's gonna look way more sort of destroyed. So the spray tool is very useful for that kind of stuff, to create the effect of destruction. So it's definitely not something you want to go all out with. Just use it some of the places where you would expect something to have that broken texture or okay. So let's say we are pretty satisfied with this for now. I could go on. I would probably, if I really wanted to make something really nice out of this, spend a little bit more time adding some more details and cleaning up some of the oddities I see here and there. But I think it's starting to look pretty okay at this point. So the question is, how the hell do we get this into Unreal Engine? Because obviously you can't get, or you can, but it's not gonna perform well. Put 1.2 million polygons into Unreal Engine. So the trick is, as I've said a few times now, to create a low polygon version out of this and then do something called baking of normals out of that. And you can do that in a number of ways. I will be showing, let's see, at least I've shown one method of doing it, I think previously in another video series, why I used 3D Studio Max, and you can definitely use it for that kind of stuff. And get some pretty good results. So what I'm going to be doing here is showing it. You can actually do this also inside Zbrush. So the way to do it in Zbrush is to take a look at the subtools. The subtools is actually this is actually a subtool, so you can actually duplicate this. And then you have two copies. You can see now the total number of points doubled. So if I now move this one of them, we can actually see we have two tools in here, two subtools in here, two copies of this same rock. So it's not the same as I showed earlier on, where I just duplicated some things. but it's kind of similar. So whatever. I'm just gonna delete this one. So we're just left with one, and then I'm gonna duplicate it again, because once I duplicate it, I don't want them any of these two instances to be moving relative to each other. They need to stay exactly on top of each other. So what I like to do before, actually, I'm just going to do something else. I'm going to delete it again. And sorry about the fumbling here. I'm just going to check the mesh integrity. Okay, so everything is okay. So now I can duplicate it. Just wanted to make sure I didn't have any weird things going on. So at this point, what I like to do, you can use a decimation master to get a simplified version of this. But sometimes if you take a look at the topology in here, zoom way in, we can actually see that it's consisting of all these polygons here, but they are not really laid out in a meaningful way. So what tends to happen if I just decimate this is that sometimes Zbrush can create some, it gets confused and create some weird results out of it. So what I like to do instead is to first go to the where is it? C remesher. It's found under. Just going to turn this off, under geometry. So here we have C remesher, and you can set a target count. So as far as I understand, this is a percentage actually. So if I set this all the way down to, let's say, 1%, and then click C remesh, it's going to start to process this model, and it's only going to work on the subtool that I have selected. So it's only working on one of the copies I have, and it's going to take a little while. Okay, and actually I forgot, but I should definitely turn off Dynamesh, because I don't want to re-Dynamesh anything by mistake. So I should have done that earlier on as well. So as you can see now, we have actually two models on top of each other. So you have a little eyeball out here. You can turn that on and off. And now I turned the detail copy off. So if I turn on the lines here, we can see we have a nice topology all around the rock now, instead of that kind of a mess we had before. But now you can see we also lost all our detail, but that's kind of what will happen when you simplify things. So if we hover the mouse over here, we can see we have 2,400. Let's just use this one as I'm not really sure what the difference is, but let's say we have 2,400 polygons. So we can actually run a decimation and say we want only, let's say we want, we can either say percentage of the total current amount, or we can say a total number of polygons. So let's say we want, this is probably not going to be super detailed, but we might create some different LODs for this. So let's say we start out with 1.5K. That's going to be 1.6 apparently. And then decimate current. And it's going to say you can't decimate, but we're going to pre-process current first, and then we can decimate. What the? There we go. Okay, so now it created 1.6 1600 polygons for us, as we can see here. And this is currently our low poly version of our model. And what we need to do from here on, because we eventually want to texture this guy here, and in order to texture this, we need something called UVs. This is actually a good time to take a little break from the pen here and open up a browser, because what I learned from that last week here was that there's a lot of information. A guy called Eric Chadwick from Polycount, he helped me out with a lot of stuff here. So let's see, question about themes and texture painting. Yeah, he pointed me towards some really nice articles. So for example, something about texture seams, we haven't talked about that, and edge padding. Yeah, somebody posted a link about normals. It's just typical, I can't find it. Okay, anyway, I'm gonna put that in the description, hopefully, if I remember. Where am I finding normals? Normals. Anyway, there's a lot of stuff in here, and there's a whole wiki about all of these issues, so I guess you can find it here. Normal mapping. Let's see. Normal map. I think it's this one. Actually, it's not. It's nope. Terribly sorry about that. I can't find it. What was it called? Should have bookmarked it. Maybe I have it. Oh, here it is. So yeah, this one, normal map technical details, synced workflow. This article talks about a lot of the issues with normals and what they do and how they work, and also something which we will need to look into, which is the Swizzle coordinates, which is in a very simple manner just a way of saying which orientation does the normal work, what coordinate system do they work in. And it happens to be that Unreal Engine uses X plus, Y minus, and C plus. And per default, Zbrush actually uses Y minus, Y plus. So that's something we need to be aware of. But what we actually also wanted to look into is UVs and what the heck they are. And they also have a number of articles about UVs, so I'm not gonna pretend I can give a super good explanation of this. But if you think about it as a number of a 2D coordinate system instead of a X, Y, Z coordinate system for a 3-dimensional space, then UV is going to be the coordinate system for the textures. And a fun fact about this, which I just recently learned, is that because you will see sometimes people talk about UVW coordinate maps, and the W axis is because it's actually a vector, or you can think of it as a vector like x, y, z. The UV is corresponding, actually, you can think of it as the x and the y, and the W is the z. So, and since this is a two-dimensional space, the textures are, this is actually why people usually just refer to them as UVs, because the W is not being used. And I forgot what it is used for originally. I read it somewhere. And another fun fact is that if you look at the alphabet, the U, V, W, X, Y, Z, that's actually the letters coming just in front of X, Y, Z. So I guess that's the reason why they called UVs, which is also something I was really wondering why they were called UVs. So that was it. So we need to do a UV unwrap of this monstrosity here, and I will be doing that in the next video because I think I spent enough time talking so far. One thing I want to assert here in this just before I leave is that as you can see, the number of polygons is pretty high for this model, and I would say it's way too high for the complexity of this. So I could probably go get away with way less. So actually I'm just gonna lower this to, let's just say, what about 800? What the heck? 0.8. Decimate current. Yeah, well, that was maybe a little bit too little. Let's say 1K. It's hard to tell if that's too little. I haven't really figured out a good way to determine what a good number for this is, except that what I tend to do is to set it to something and then I decimate, and if it seems like the triangles are just being subdivided, then I can tell that it's probably going to be okay. So at this point it seems they're just starting to, so maybe 1K is going to be fine. Yeah, didn't change much on the overall shape of it. So let's keep it at 1K, and in the next video I'm gonna be doing UV unwrap in Zbrush, and I'm gonna talk about some of the problems with that, and then we're gonna continue trying doing this inside 3D Studio Max. And actually that's the two tools I've been trying to do this with, but I know there are some pretty kick-ass tools out there which are even better. So unfortunately I don't have them at this moment, so I can't say how things will work with them. So I'll be seeing you in the next video. So bye bye.